Hey guys. Hello. It's Friday and it's time for our Heat Press for Profit podcast. As you guys are tuning in, you guys know the drill. Say your name, type it down below, the business that you're with, the company that you own. And you guys know I love to know where you are located. I'm going to give it just a minute. I'm going to turn a couple things off on my ends. My end before we get going. Now, today it is just me. We don't have a guest. But I want to recap Printing United. Before Printing United, we talked about the show, what you can expect, how Apparelist is involved, all of the education parts that Stalls and Transfer Express were involved in. And this episode is really about a recap on questions. What people were saying, what they were asking, what they were noticing. And it's really interesting because the questions that were asked were things that I almost feel like we talk about all the time. But if you know the idea of you kind of have to see something 7 times before somebody makes a connection with it or before they make the purchase, kind of has to go with marketing, especially in social media, of just kind of that recollection of, oh, this is that. Takes about 7 times. So just because we talk about it, here on platforms, our reps talk about it in marketing, our YouTube channel, doesn't mean that it always reaches those that are attending shows. So those that came with questions, those that we got to say hi to, thank you so much for coming to Printing United and definitely stopping by the booth. So this session is all about a recap on popular questions that were asked at Printing United 2024 in Las Vegas. So one that I want to touch on first, which I thought was so interesting and to start the conversation, is all about, what do we do? Are we transfers? Are we equipment? And that's probably one of my favorite questions to get asked, because at this point in time in 2024, towards the end of the year, I really don't know if there's something that we don't do. So what do we do is the biggest question when we, when somebody new comes to the booth, or maybe they're just getting into the business. Maybe they're currently wrapping cars, or they're in the sign industry and they want to get into heat transfer. So my response is, we're both. Anything you see in this booth, really besides a garment, we manufacture. So what does that mean? That means the equipment that you use. Obviously, the cutters, which we didn't have any at the show, but from a Graphtec or Roland, obviously those are created and manufactured from those brands. But our equipment, so the Hotronics heat presses, those are all ours. That is Stalls. The transfers that you see, those are ours. That is Stalls. And in this booth, we had both Transfer Express and Stalls represented in one, but we're still one company. It's just 2 different websites. We have a couple of the same products on both sites, but at the end of the day, it's still all Stalls. So we manufacture the transfers, we manufacture cut vinyl, we manufacture the equipment. So anything you need to start a heat printing business, we offer. Now, when it comes to garments, yes, we're not manufacturing those, but we have a ton of partners that we work with, whether it is merchandised samples in our booth or being able to purchase blanks from either Stalls or Transfer Express. Let's also not forget about Fulfill Engine, where it really gives you that capability to pull in blanks from multiple different vendors or distributors, utilize printers to execute the production of your garments or your orders, and then of course the order fulfillment system. So There's just so much that Stalls does, and it's one of those things where we can really have the conversation based off of what type of business, what are you wanting to do? What are you wanting to pivot into? What are your customers asking for? And then we can guide you down what Stalls does. So, I love seeing that question come up, and I did ask some of the attendees that attended Printing United in terms of our team what they were hearing, because of course, when we have multiple different locations at one massive show, we've got people in different areas, and there can always be different conversations at different parts of the show. So we started that off. What does Stalls do? What is it that you do here? And of course, when you walk into our booth and you see these beautiful graphics that Dane had created, merchandise samples, equipment, random transfers just laying around, right? Because we have conversations and we move on from one thing to the next. So I can see that it can be a little bit confusing, but the beautiful thing is it just opens the door to so much. Okay, if you guys have any questions as well, please feel free to pop them down in the comments, and I'll do my best to get them answered here as well. And of course, if we don't know the answer, then we will definitely figure it out. And Carol also said inventory management, which is exactly it. So from the transfer, from the equipment needed to the back end system of making sure that you have a smooth and efficient business, the inventory management. So, all right, up next, what is the difference between Stalls and Transfer Express? And this one makes me giggle because I don't know, like a year and a half ago, I'm losing track of my dates. I used to be able to say Stalls is vinyl and applique, where Transfer Express is plastisol. And then we released direct to film, Ultracolor Max, which is available on both companies. So you can get direct to film from both, but Stalls think of vinyl, applique, patches, and emblems, where Transfer Express think of plastisol, hybrid, and direct to film. So our seams are kind of starting to blend, which I love, but it's definitely one of those things where the conversation can get a little blurred depending on what the customer's overarching goal is. What are you wanting to do? What are you needing? Who's your customer? What quantities are you looking to order? And then that's where we can kind of help differentiate between Stalls and Transfer Express. Now, the reason why I giggle is because we now have Intra, which is a plastisol transfer that is available on stalls.com. So you will start to see a little bit of a change in conversation as to why you would use Intra, say, over Goof Proof. And there are definitely some differences in the product from colors to quantity. Do you gang a sheet? Can you not gang a sheet? And then, of course, the adhesive on the back of that plastisol. So that's the easiest way to kind of take what is Stalls, what is Transfer Express. But another way to kind of think about Stalls and Transfer Express is this idea of not always smaller quantities. And I don't mean, guys, like 612 pieces. I mean 25, 48. Transfer Express is an incredible company for that because you have more control over the gang sheets with plastisol. You've got lower quantities that you can order starting at 6 sheets. Where if we look at Stalls, yes, HTV is a 5 or 6 piece minimum, but typically those get into the larger orders, like patches and emblems are 25 pieces. And the sweet spot for pricing is really at 50. And then the biggest break is going to be at 100 pieces. Intra is a 50 piece minimum. So when we look at really what the difference is, think higher quantities from Stalls, not on everything, and a little bit more control and flexibility in what you can order through Transfer Express. I know that could add a brand new onion to everything, and we're just going to have to peel back the layers. But if you are really wanting to kind of evaluate where you need to send an order, the best thing that you can do is talk to a rep, talk to customer service, let them know the project, the art, and then we can help guide you to be on the correct company to make sure you're getting the best price possible for the transfer that you need. So maybe HTV really is the best solution because all you need is 10 pieces. There's just a lot of things to kind of work out. And Brad actually said Transfer Express ordering process for direct to film is not as easy as the Stalls website. And that is so interesting that you say that because I actually really like Easy View for the ordering process on Transfer Express. I don't know if it's because I have the ability to drag and adjust the logo. I don't know what it is that my brain likes it. But yes, Stalls ordering process is upload your design and then click through the steps. You cannot go to the next step without answering the one above. Where Transfer Express is you upload your art, you see it there on Easy View, you can adjust it. You can change the color of the background. It's just a little bit more of a creative process where Stalls is definitely simplified and is kind of bulleted in a sense, right? You have to do one before you can move on to the next. Okay, I am also wanting to stay up with questions, so bear with me as I go off of my list and as I go off of yours. Okay, so we've talked about what do we do? What's the difference between the two? And the next question is, what is the difference in equipment? Why would I go with an autoclam? Why would I go with a fusion? Why would somebody need to get into an air machine? And that's another question that I love to answer because my favorite thing is to say, with Hotronics, you are not getting a different heating element at the top. Okay, so whether you get an autoclam, whether you get an air fusion, a dual fusion, it does not mean that the equipment is increasing because you get a better heating element. The coils are not different. The thickness of the heating, the platen, the metal is not going to be different. Where the price starts to change is what I call the brain of the machine or what it can do for you. So the autoclam, it doesn't have the IQ brain that the Fusion, the 360, or any of the air units have. It's just a simple poke, change the heat, time, manual adjustment for the pressure, but it automatically pops open. The Fusion is when it has the brain. You can set your recommended instructions, your TTPs. You can create a whole entire recipe if you have a 4-step application. And if you're thinking, why in the world would you have a 4-step application? Well, maybe you are doing a pre-press. You're doing the first press. Maybe you turn it around to do the back press and then you seal it with a sleeve. You can create that recipe to where each time that heating element goes down and locks into place, it's triggering the next step. So you've got a 3-second pre-press, a 10-second front, a 10-second back, a 10-second sleeve. For those of you that love to mix media like I do, you can set recipes based on the media that you're mixing. You pre-press, you tack again, and then you seal for the final time. You can also run reports. There are auto on times if you want to set a schedule. There's just a lot of things that you can do with the brain of the IQ that isn't necessarily in the autoclam. So as I am having the conversation with people about presses and what they like to use, I definitely take them to use the clam, the fusion, and then we will definitely go and use an air if there is one available at the show. And the biggest thing is to get them to touch and feel and see what they respond to. I love our auto clam, but I will tell you right now, there are a ton of people out there that absolutely love using the fusion. So it really kind of comes down to preference, and then we evaluate the business need. Are you just getting into this industry, or are you currently using a different press that maybe doesn't have as reliable heating element, and we're just trying to take it step by step? Are you forecasting growth over the next couple of years? There's a lot of questions that we can ask each other to make sure that we're getting people in the correct unit. It's not about just selling a press. It's about making sure that you have the piece of equipment that you trust, can produce quality items, and is going to be something that is going to last and grow with you. If you already have a press and you're looking for that next level, that's when we can talk about an air unit or a dual air. And it's something that can help with production, help with efficiency, and just take a little bit of stress and strain off of your body. So when we are looking at going from an auto clam to a fusion, why would somebody need an air unit? And that could be something simple but unfortunate as back, shoulder problems. If they have any ailments that cause them to reduce efficiency in production, that is where the air unit comes into play. If you guys have watched me on lives or videos, any education, when we're pulling that auto clam down, if you are listening to this on the podcast, my hand is raised just like I am grabbing an auto clam. You're pulling it down this way. Okay. So it's an up to down motion, where a fusion is an out to in motion. And the out to in is more ergonomic than up to down, but the air, you're just going boop like this and holding two buttons, and then the unit does everything for itself. The other thing with the air that I love is if you go from a variety of different garments in one day, I'm talking a t-shirt to a sweatshirt to a poly, the air unit is going to automatically adjust your pressure. So your PSI could adjust from a 40 to a 60 based on your settings and based on the garment that's using. So for example, if I have a 50 PSI set on my Air Fusion or my Dual, and I am putting a 3001. We're just going to keep it simple. Okay. Put that on there. It's going to automatically adjust to make sure my PSI is still at a 50. Let's say I go from that 3001 to a lane 7 oversized heavyweight. And if you guys are familiar with this sweatshirt, it's thick. That unit, I don't have to adjust anything. I don't have to make sure that my pressure by pulling down the heating element is going to read correctly. Because of the air, it's going to automatically correct from what the 50 PSI was of that 3001 to that nice thick plush hoodie. So we're still getting our accurate and correct TTP to make sure that we are really producing the quality products that we know we can. Kelly said, then a compressor is needed. Yes, an air compressor is needed. And how big is, Carly, can you double check that on the Hotronics or the Stalls website for me? So Kelly will get that answer. So what's the difference? Why would I go with one over the other? And at the end of the day, they all get the same job done, except for the 360. The 360 is going to come with that upper and lower heat and come with an arch. You can add lower heat to most of our flat presses, but with the 360, because of that arch, it was designed for headwear. The beautiful thing is it's really whatever fits on that surface area. And you can make work. If there's a will, there's a way. And I will forever say that when it comes to making your equipment work for you and the type of products that you produce. So, segueing into the 360, which is why we try to do more and more YouTube content and education based around the 360, is because people still don't understand that it is a heat press. Okay, so that means whatever can fit on that surface area or under that heating element, you can apply it. So cooler bags, jackets, sweatshirts, backpacks, hip bags, fanny packs, whatever you want to call them, polos. Guys, it's whatever you can put on that press. And there are still conversations where people bought it for headwear and they didn't even think or realize that, oh my gosh, I could actually be decorating polos with the same patches and emblems on this one press I have. So if you don't have a flat press, you got into headwear and you have a 360 with upper and lower heat, do not sell yourself short that you could be adding on polos and bags, other accessories, jackets to help complement your customer's order or current product offering, to where, you know what, I can do more than hats. If you want to, the choice is yours, but just know that it is available. Okay, so the answer, the air fusion requires a 0.5 horsepower and a 2.5 gallon hold tank for an air compressor. So Kelly, let me know if that answers your question. She did ask that question or I say she, I'm a she and I'm Kelly. So if it's a male, I do apologize ahead of time, but there's your answer. Let me know if you have any other questions in regards to that. Okay, we did have a question right here from Instagram that said, I really want to try the interchangeable platens, working on saving up for one of the sleeves and pant legs for a hoodie jogger season. I think that's great. If you are looking for an opportunity to press on those now and you need a solution, just know that there is a leg and sleeve pillow that is very capable of getting the job done as well. The one thing I will preface on the 6x20 platen is if you are wanting to do joggers and you want to take it to the upper thigh or knee to hip area, that's perfect. If you press a lot of large, extra large 2X and up sweatshirts or long sleeves, then you're going to have a better luck with the 6x20 leg and sleeve platen. But for anything smaller, I would almost recommend doing a pillow if you have a smaller sleeve or a smaller pant leg. One thing to keep in mind is that 6 inches is going to be, pretty substantial when we are looking at extra smalls, smalls, mediums. And if it's a slim style shirt, that sleeve may not be threadable on that, where you can take a pillow, stuff it in the sleeve and kind of adjust it a little bit to where not stretching and expanding those fibers. So when you go and apply your transfer, now the logo looks kind of warped or the sleeve looks stretched. Okay. Let's see where we're at. Oh, my friends across the pond. Hi, guys. Stalls UK says hello. Okay, let's see. Yes. Oh, and she said yes, she. I've met several fellas that are named Kelly. So, just never. I don't want to call you if you're male and say, hey, girl, what's up? Okay, so Those were some of the biggest, broadest questions that we always have asked at shows. What I think is really fun, that's become another standard is, so what's new? People will come up at any show and say, what's new? Maybe they follow us on social media or they stay in tune to webinars and education. And every once in a while, we will have new products at shows that haven't necessarily launched or been released yet, but you can get a sneak peek. One thing that we are creating that will be launched soon is the ability to have some one-on-one conversations. And I might be letting a cat out of the bag, but it's fine. And one of those conversations is going to be about what's new. And it's all about making sure that people that can't get to a show know what's new. They can touch and feel the product. But when people come to a show and they say, what's new, that typically means, yeah, they want to know what's new, what's trendy, but they also want to touch it. They want to see how they can incorporate it into their business. How can they make it work for their customers? And that's when a variety of samples of what's new of a specific product really come into the conversation. And I think the what's new also plays into the what's new and trending in blanks, what's new in locations, what are we seeing from an industry perspective that I need to know about that your company can help me with. So it doesn't always have to be product related. It could be updates like Ultra Color Max got some revamped pricing on stalls. The launch of the contract decorator services to help support overflow, or if you are wanting to go on vacation and you want to make sure that your jobs can be continued in production, that's a great support. If you're solo and you need more arms, right? Like that's a support. So what's new doesn't always have to be about a material or a piece of equipment. It can be about anything that's going on within our company. Let's see, I'm going to take a sip because I'm talking a lot. Okay. What a Friday, guys. Let's see if we've got any other. Carly did put the link for some heat press pillows. So for those of you that are curious about what I'm talking about in terms of pillows, want to check them out, then you can definitely go there and check them out. The link has been posted in the comments on all the platforms that we're streaming. So just keep that in mind. There was one other question that I saw. Okay. J Rabbit Crafts. Are there any plans to offer stock chenille letter patches like the embroidered ones? I will say that this is always a conversation. It's always a hot topic. And there's definitely a handful of us that would love to see something like this be executed. But at this point in time, I am not aware of a date. Doesn't mean the future, can always bring something. But right now, there is not a date to offer the letters in chenille. So I wish I could say yes. I wish I had a better, happier answer for that, but not at this moment in time. Okay, so let's go back on the power of equipment. Quick show of hands, I guess. Who is familiar with the new ProPlace IQ? That is attached to the dual air fusion, and it is a projection system. We started playing The Price is Right in a sense, or like The Price is Right at the end when you see the entire package and then you have to guess what the cost is, and then you can't be over or you lose. People were pegging the cost of the PPIQ, the ProPlace IQ, and the Dual to be 2 and 3 times the cost that it actually is. So I think there is a lot of value to our industry in understanding the power in a projection system to basically drop your transfer image down below and line that up straight on the platen. Yes, you have to still make sure that your garment is straight on the platen, but in terms of how the image is dropped down, you get to see where it's going to be placed and to really give you an overview of what that garment's going to look like finished before you even apply the transfer. So I thought that was really, really interesting that people were valuing the system and the efficiency and the technology 2 and 3 times more than what the unit itself is. And I say unit meaning the PPIQ system, so the projection system and the dual. If you were one that was shocked, then I mean, let us know, because we're still in awe at times of how much people were just questioning, like, really, that's it? I think there was one like astronomical price that was given, and it wasn't even close. It was way off the charts than what it is. So don't be intimidated by equipment like that, because if you don't ask, you don't necessarily always know, and it actually might be something that could be in your budget or help you improve your efficiency, which overall is worth it alone to be able to produce garments on a quicker timeline. Let's see. I love it. Who owns Hotronics, or does Hotronics own Stalls? So Stalls, Group Stall is the overarching company, and Group Stall is the owner of Stalls, Transfer Express, Fulfill Engine, Hotronics, a couple of other companies that we have had, previously. And so yes, Stalls does own Hotronics. Hotronics is very much a part of Stalls, and people always get so confused as to how Hotronics comes into play. And the easiest way, kind of like going back to what's the difference between Stalls and Transfer Express. Hotronics is a manufacturer of equipment. Stalls is a distributor of Hotronics. That's why we also see other distributors that are able to sell Hotronics equipment and help get quality presses into their loyal customers. There are several distributors that we have partnerships with now. And one thing at Printing United was we were able to see the Hotronics press from a 360 to an autoclam to a fusion in a variety of different places throughout the entire area. And guys, I can't express to you like how large Printing United really is. So it's not like we were just standing across the aisle and you could see another Hotronics press, which you could. And that's perfectly fine, because at the end of the day, we all are representing the Hotronics brand. But yes, Stalls does own Hotronics. They were just fun questions. And it's those questions that just make me giggle as well, because it's just the way we do. So let's see. Okay, Intra. A lot of people would come up and touch a product and go, is this direct to film? What product is this? And a lot of times they would be shocked that it was actually Goof Proof, or is actually Intra, or it was actually direct to film, and they thought it was a different product. So understanding, oh, direct to film, that looks plastic, that looks it has too much of a sheen. I think that was a true testament to not truly understanding that there are different qualities of products out there. There are different finishes. There are different direct to film transfers and how they are produced to create different finishes. One might be more matte, one might be more satin. You can change the characteristics simply by a potential cover sheet that you might have on it. So that was really interesting to see people go up to a plastisol transfer and think it was direct to film, or they would see a 1 or 2 color direct to film transfer and think that it was plastisol when it was actually Ultracolor Max. So with Intra, of course, the question was, well, why would I use Goof Proof? Why would I use Intra? And one of the biggest things that I had said earlier was quantity and color. Intra comes in 1 color option, so you cannot do a multicolor design. That's where Goof Proof or Elasti Print, there's a couple other in the back of my brain, but they're not coming out at this moment in time. Hot Split, those are all going to be multicolor images that are capable. Intra is a single color. With Plastisol from Transfer Express, you have a sheet size that you can completely work with. You can gang other logos. You can take up that entire sheet to maximize and do an oversized print. Intra, there are going to be 3 set sizes in terms of a grid that you can use that your logo can fit in. At that point in time, that is the sizing that it goes off of, not to where you're looking at a sheet. So if your round cost, okay, if your cost for a transfer over at Transfer Express in Goof Proof is going to be $7, and you can get 7 different logos on that sheet, it's easy to equate that to $1 a logo. You cannot gang on Intra. And whatever your size dimension is has to fit in that size that we have in terms of how to go off of pricing. It would be 10 times easier if I could show you the grid on that. But Carly's put the link in the comments. That way you can click it, go check out Intra, and just kind of get an overview of what I'm talking about. But the other thing, guys, this is huge. With Intra, it's a cotton, poly, lycra spandex, and nylon adhesive, okay? Where Goof Proof is cotton and poly, you could put it on a lycra, but with the high heat of 365, you definitely run the risk of scorching on a poly or even like a spandex elastane type of product, and it does not work for nylon. So if you are wanting a transfer where it's single color, you have your set sizing max. This is what you offer to your customers, kind of like a cookie cutter. Here's your options. Intra is going to be fantastic, 50-piece minimum, but you can put it on that nylon, and that is so, so huge. There are more products, more colors available through Goof Proof and Transfer Express, where Intra is a new product. We kind of like to dip our toes in the water, and then we eventually start to build that product out. So there's a lot more to be had in terms of discussion on Intra versus Goof Proof. The hand is very, very, very similar. You know, it's not like you can walk up to one or the other and just stare at it and go, oh, this is that, this is this. So again, they're both plastisol inks, but they serve a completely different market. Unless you are a Goof Proofer all day long, then maybe that's the route you want to go. The other large difference, guys, is Intra has a clear carrier and Goof Proof has a paper carrier. So if we're looking at advancing into those ProPlace IQs, then that's where you're going to really want that clear carrier for that mass production to help just speed up everything. Okay, I'm going back into some questions and just statements from you guys. Carol, she said, can you explain what the machine does? And I'm assuming that you are talking about the ProPlace IQ. If that's not the piece of equipment, let me know. But we did have some comments put in with the link to the ProPlace. There's some videos out right now. I know we've got a really, really cool social media short video on our page right now on Instagram. I think it's also on YouTube, maybe even LinkedIn. But what it does is it kind of has this like arm, this arched arm, and there is a screen that projects your transfer image onto your platen. You take your transfer that has a clear backing or at least frosted, and you line it up kind of piece by piece, line by line on your platen to cover that projected image. That's how you can map out left chest. You can adjust where the image is on the grid on the screen. That way it's projecting where you need it to be. It just really helps keep some consistency when it comes to applications. Okay, let's see. Then we go into Beth said she wants, I can't wait to get a ProPlace IQ. Scotty Holbrook said it's an incredible piece of equipment. It really, really is. And I remember when we released that, I think it was last year actually at Printing United, the awe that it gave people, and people would literally just stop in their tracks and stare and watch it in use. So I think that's pretty powerful to speak to the heat printing industry and to just apparel decoration as a whole. I think that's it. Can Intra be layered? So not at this time. I haven't played with it too much. And I would say if you were wanting to layer it, there might be a couple of other products that might serve that better. Because when I think of layer, I think of multicolor. And so if you're wanting to get into 3-4 colors, that's where Ultracolor Max might just be better for you, depending on the size. And if we really look at, okay, do we need to step away from Intra and Ultracolor Max and go to a multicolor screen print? The whole idea here is to reduce it to a one-step application or to make sure you're still able to be efficient in production. So when we're looking at layering, that's another step. You guys know I love to layer. I love to mix media. So at that point, it might be more beneficial to look at a couple of other products that can produce the same result, give you the same clear carrier. But again, that's always a conversation to be had when it comes to artwork. I have not personally tested any layering, and that's actually the first question that I've had, if Intra can be layered. So that's just that conversation. I like the question though. Makes me think. The other thing about Intra, guys, there's a lot of pros to this, is it's a lower application. I believe it's 290, maybe it's 305. Carly, I know you put the Intra link in there, but can you just confirm what the application time is? I believe it's also 8 or 10 seconds. So not only are we able to use plastisol with a clear carrier that can be used on almost any garment type textile available, it also has that lower temp, which is really going to be great for your polys, your spandex, and anything that could potentially scorch, even your rayon. Okay, so Tanya said, understood. I have a 2-color order to fill, and I bumped it up, and she likes the Intra price point. So let's definitely have that conversation, because now I'm intrigued to do some price comparisons to see really like what we can do in terms of making it work. So my brain is going. Just know that the hamster wheel is spinning. Evan is just joining us, so thank you for joining, Evan. What's the difference between Intra and Goofproof? I just got here, so I actually just kind of wrap that conversation up. But to quickly touch on it, just in case we have any new viewers, Intra is going to be a 50-piece minimum. Goofproof is a 6. Intra is a set sizing, so it's whatever you can fit in that size, but you are charged based on that set dimension. So if it's like a 12 by 12, even if you're an 11 by 11, that's the size and the price of that transfer. Where Goofproof, you have that ability to gang sheet and really create an order that you need to really help price point, where Intra is really all mentally done for that quick, fast production, because it comes pre-cut. It's individual pieces and it comes on a clear carrier. And like I just stated, it's a low temp of 285 for a poly. So very, very low, where Goofproof is 365. Quick at 4 to 6, but that 285 is huge. Does Intra need other steps to work on waterproof nylon? So the biggest thing on anything waterproof or water resistant is understanding what the coating is. There might be some products where you might have to use that denatured alcohol to kind of remove that waterproof coating. Waterproofing is going to be harder to apply versus water resistant, because waterproofing typically has kind of like that rubberized silicone feel in a way, because that water is just going to bead right off. But anything that is waterproof or has water, whatever in it, I really recommend you do some pre-testing on your own, just to make sure that the garment can actually be decorated on, because there are some that just did not make it to customer production because the coating just couldn't be figured out. And that is one difficult thing about anything waterproofing. Doug said, can you gang it up yourself to maximize usage? Nope. It will be flagged. It will be caught in production. And that is something that cannot be done. So it has to be a single image, or at least make it look like it is a single image flowing into one. So the reason why I say that is if for some reason you needed to cut the top part of something off, there's always ways, I'm not encouraging this by any means, but just know if it does look like you have 2 or more images, then the order will unfortunately be rejected, because as of now, it's single image only. Bread Boy said, I'm here, better late than never. Yes, welcome to the show. Okay, I am going to wrap up with a couple of other questions. Like I said, if you guys have any remainders, I'll give you a couple more minutes to get it in the comments. Sometimes with streaming live, we do have a little bit of a delay. Let's see. I'm reading. Oh, what machine do we use to make our DTF? Whoop. Lips are sealed. I cannot share that information. So if that is one question you have been probing or you've been asking, just know you will not get that answer out. Our DTF or Ultra Color Max is proprietary. We pride ourselves in the product that we've created. It's a hot peel. It's a one-step application. It's a beautiful finish. There's no clear outline. It's just a fantastic product to work with. So that's why you just got to get it from us. We're not going to tell you how to make that one. Okay. I think that is pretty much it in terms of the questions. I mean, there's always questions, right? another question that I had that I really loved or noticed, I'll state that. How about noticed was people that came to Printing United came with a specific niche or focus. I think the power of heat printing is really in the ability to give us the power of a pivot, right? If you see that there is an open market that you can go in and really conquer, and you were doing something previously, at the end of the day, you don't need new equipment. You don't need to completely change or overhaul what you're doing. You just print a different logo. So in this particular case, those that I had conversations with really had a specific plan that they wanted to go after. There was a lot of conversation in creating premium products. They weren't really wanting to focus on just getting the orders and getting them out. They really wanted to create a brand based on quality and premium. This is what I do. And in the world of being able just to start this business at any point in time, especially with the fill engine, I thought it was really cool to see people that they were really wanting to go down a specific path, or they weren't looking at doing everything. And I can be a flaw in that of thinking like, oh my gosh, there's so much you can do. But I think with a lot of the education, a lot of the conversations we have of really staying and understanding your market, understanding your demographic, but also not selling yourself short, it was great for people to see, you know what, I know this is what I can do. I know this is the price that I can ask, and I want to run with it. And I want to make sure I'm finding the best blanks, I'm getting the best transfers, and I'm using the products that I need. So if you are starting to manifest or prep for that 2025, write down some thoughts or plans or what you want to achieve or where you want to take your business. I think really understanding what you're worth as a decorator is important, because not only are you the production side of it, and maybe it's not you, maybe it's your team, you need to understand that as new products are developing and as big box stores capitalize on more and more custom merch or decorated merch, there's no reason why you yourself can't be up there in price as long as you know your demographic and what you're going after. So 2025 is going to be the year of not selling ourselves short and knowing that it's okay to also not be the lowest priced decorator. We want quality garments, and I know you guys also want quality customers. That way you can help forecast and predict where your business is going to be over the next 3 and 5 years. Beth. My knowledge with having a $20,000 printer by the transfers, and that was in reference to direct-to-film. So guys, this is a conversation we are having more and more at shows, and more people are coming forward that have talked about purchasing a direct-to-film printer and where they are now. And I know Dave has a couple of classes coming up at Impressions Fort Worth in regards to just kind of understanding. Josh and Dave both have one, I believe, really kind of understanding direct-to-film and just the power of it, right, from all things. Will there ever be a 2-color puff? At this moment in time, no. But I have managed to do a 2-color puff, Evan. And what I did was made sure that my spacing of my artwork had decent gaps in it. That way I could then align it on one transfer. So essentially I did a 2-color puff with a one-step hit. The other thing that you could do is mix it with like something I've got on my mannequin, which is flock or foam, to give you a little bit of texture and dimension, but then really have the puff be the main area of puff. So I saw it. What application do you have on your mannequin behind you? I love this thing. It's such a conversation starter. And for those of you that don't know, during COVID, viewers named this gal Manny Quinn. Okay. So a little fun Friday humor as we are getting ready to sign off. This is all flock. So it's flock on flock. Flock can be layered. I've got garment show through here. So what I did was laid down all of the black first, and then I laid the red on here. So we're getting a retro vintage vibe, but I'm able to do onesies and twosies because I can cut this. I actually cut this on a Roland, but I have a Graph Tech now. You can also cut it on a craft cutter. I almost feel like core products today have become base products. And what I mean by that is flock, foam, twill, and maybe even your standard ultra weed, where base products, say 5 years ago, were really just your core, simple, thin HTV. Where I've seen this shift is this is now becoming a core product because you can layer on top of it. You can create kind of like a patch look as well. Also, when we look at retail and what we see out there, there is dimension back in garments. It's no longer just, can I get the thinnest material? So flock, foam, you can layer on both, you can stack, you can build, you can just get kind of crazy and fun. So you guys have been amazing this Friday. Thank you so much for tuning in and asking those questions. If you don't know this about me now, I love to help and understand our viewers, the businesses that you have. What issues are we having? Where are we seeing the industry go? Because this is just nothing but conversation, and I'm a huge believer in community. So a little throw to our Heat Press for Profit group. If you guys are not in that group on Facebook, go get in it. You can turn off the notifications if notifications bother you, but there's always incredible conversations from teammates that we have that hop in that group. Just to show you what they're working on, what they're seeing. And then, of course, we have some core ambassadors that are also always in the conversation, that are out there. You'll see JJ Marcus, you'll see Ty Kane. Brain is stopping, and it's right on the tip of my tongue. It's right there. I see his face. I'm so sorry. So anyway, there's a lot of help that you can always get. But if you guys like this type of conversation, let me know. I know we always try to have a guest on and bring different insights. Thank you, Skip. Oh my gosh. I owe him like a basket of chocolate. I could see it. He was right there. Anyway, so if you guys like this type of format, then let us know, because we're definitely doing this for you and making sure that you guys have the tools and necessities that you need in your business. But I also know that bringing in outside conversations and other people to have, kind of that one-on-one different insights is also very powerful. But as I am looking forward to 2025 and seeing what we need to do in education and seeing what we need to do in terms of just industry knowledge, we can always put something like this on the schedule that's more of a standard hit, whether it's once every month, every other month, but we can kind of go through that together. So, okay, guys, I am signing off. We've been on here for a full hour. Thank you so much. Again, I really appreciate all of the conversation. And for those of you that are asking what the Facebook group was, it's Heat Press for Profit, and it'll say sponsored by Stalls. Okay, guys, I'll see you later. Happy Friday, and enjoy the weekend. Bye, guys.